Hello, and welcome back to Over the Next Hill Fitness Podcast. I'm Carla Coffey, your coach and host for today's program. Just want to thank everybody who's been giving me 5-star ratings. I really appreciate that. I also appreciate you sharing the program and continuing to follow it. There is a button in the recording in the show notes that you can send me a message. I'm going to compile some of those questions and hopefully get those into the next episode. So if you have questions about running or fitness or shoes or whatever, I'll do my best to answer all those. The program is sponsored by Hydro Patch. We're currently doing a buy one, get one free. So if you'd like to try Hydro Patch, send me a message, a DM or whatever, and I'll send you that code. You also might find it on the Coffee Crew Coaching Facebook page. I've been posting it there occasionally, so get it while you can. I'm sure it won't last long. There are some other discounts in the show notes that you can go on there and get some discounts for some other products. There's also a spot where you can buy me a coffee. If you'd like to have your name said on the program, please do that to help promote the show. And I think that's about it for all of that. Today we're going to be speaking to Lisa Herron. Incredible story. We talked a lot off air as well. She's an incredible woman. So hopefully you will enjoy her podcast and get out there and do something. She really proves that there are no excuses. Everybody can get up and move. So enjoy the program. Hey, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hey, Carla, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here.
Yeah.
So let's talk running. When did you start running? Why did you start running? Let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I had to transition into power walking, so I'm a little different in that regards than most. But I started a lifetime ago with running, when I was in junior high, high school, track, have always been involved in sports. And then finally had to get to the point, I was involved in a bad farming accident when I was 40 and ended up having to completely transition. That gave me my 5th knee surgery.
Oh, wow.
And so then I started power walking. And so that was right around 2012 and set a goal that year to walk 6 half marathons. So I'm a little unique because I can hold my own with a lot of runners. I can easily walk a 10-minute mile.
Wow. That's incredible.
So, and totally different gait, and for those that like to make fun of me being a walker, I'm going to catch you about the 6 or 7 mile marker and I'm going to go bye. And then I'll catch you and I'll cheer you when you cross the finish line. And I might be on my 2nd or 3rd beer by then.
I love it. That's great.
And I'll give you a banana. We all work hard for that famous banana.
No kidding, right? So you were in track though when you were younger.
I was, yes.
What was your best distances that you like to run there?
Great question. I did more field events, would run a 400, a 1600. I was more the kid that got the points. I wasn't going to always be the fast one. I did more with the shot put disc to do those type of field events than I did the running.
Oh, wow.
But I did it more because I played volleyball and basketball and softball. So that way you had more of the endurance because of the running that you would do.
Sure. Wow, you were athletic in school.
Yes. Well, and my mother made me take ballet to offset being a tomboy. So I sat in my dad's lap when I was 6 years old at a Cincinnati Reds game. And I kind of patted him on the legs, I remember, and said, Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be like Johnny Bench. Not that I want to age myself here. And that fall, I started in ballet.
Your mom said, nope.
Nope. And I was actually on a competitive dance team in high school. That's how I lost my eligibility to play sports, because I blew a knee out at a dance competition.
Oh, no.
Which gave me surgery number 2.
In high school, you were
in high school. Yes.
Surgery. What was the first one?
The first one, I had both of them done at the same time. It was what was called a tetranatrical lateral release. You could take my kneecaps and move them all around.
Oh, wow.
And then it's pretty much a birth defect. Interesting, my brother had the same surgeries on both of his knees. So I don't know if it was kind of a genetic kind of thing.
Right.
And then it wasn't 6 months later, I tore the meniscus in my left knee. And then it just kind of went from there. And then knee surgery number 6 was 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I have less than 10% meniscus. The goal, is to now make it well into my 60s before a knee replacement. And in fact, 3 years ago, I had a goal to walk 5,000 miles that year. And I show up at Ortho Indy. I'm here in Indianapolis. And why have a boring X on your leg? I had written 3,011.78 because, they always mark your body part that you're having surgery. And my orthopedic pulls back and he goes, "What in the world is this?" And my mom's like, "Don't get her started." and he goes, "What is that?" And I said, "My mileage." He goes, "How long?" I said, "From January 1 to August 5th of this year. And I have a goal to walk 5,000. So we've got a mission. You've got to get in and get it cleaned up." And so I took 3 days off and then was back on what I call a treadmill and walking on, just at least get my mileage going.
Wow. What was the pain like from that 3 days later?
Honestly, with what I had before, it was much better. But where I got into a weird space, I ended up with a blood clot. And I honestly think I had the blood clot because it looked like a grenade had gone off in my knee, just with arthritis and wear and tear. And I'm a no guts, no glory. That's the farm girl that's going to rub some dirt on it and you just go. And probably at fault. So I've learned some valuable lessons about listening to your body.
Yeah,
definitely. And having some good doctors. I don't know. I think I scared them just with the goals that I set. So I did go on that particular year and go on and walk 5,000 miles.
Wow. And so how many miles are you getting nowadays? Is it
21, 22, 23, and 24? Between those 4 years, I walked 19,073 miles.
Wow.
And then December of 24 was waiting to have my second heart cath. And that was in December, just 4 months ago. And I'm thinking, okay, what goals do I need to set for 2025 that are going to take me out of my comfort zone? Minutes away of having my second heart cath of the year. And I decided I was going to walk 6,000 miles this year. So that is 16.43 miles a day to get me to the promised land for the end of the year.
Wow. So you got it down to the day. So you can't really miss any days.
No, you could. I mean, there may be, but I have a thing where you don't miss days.
Yeah.
And I have, in the last couple of years, really embraced the suck in life. So the days that really are bad, that walking means more than anything.
Sure.
And it may be, and I don't go out and do it all at once. It's 3 or 4 walks. Sometimes I do, depending on what kind of time frame I've got. But I'll get up in the morning and walk somewhere between 8 to 10 miles every morning to start my day.
Wow.
And then every step counts. So, like I said, I'm a little unique compared to some, but I've learned a lot about myself. So I'll go through a pair of shoes, one pair a month for this year, because I get a new pair every 500 miles.
Wow. So, walking every single day, and you said there's some days, that you don't miss any days.
Yeah, I don't miss any days.
Because then you would have to add on, right?
Correct.
So you'd have to divide that back up through the rest of the week. And then you said every step counts. So do you keep a tracker on all day?
Oh, I absolutely do. I have it right down. And I found a website because not only I keep track of my steps, I also, the mileage component of it. So with what I did in that 4 years that got me just over 19,000 miles, that was just over 38 million steps that I took in 4 years' time.
8 million steps.
Yep. And then that was 27 pairs of Brooks running shoes. They don't pay me to say that, but if they want to, they can.
There you go. It's all about calling and asking for that
Oh,
sponsorship.
absolutely.
So, so you do wear a running shoe, not a walking shoe, though. Is it
That is
because of
correct.
this the speed?
Yep. Yep. And I always, people always come to, because now, I was just at the grocery store this morning and somebody said, "You're the girl that walks everywhere." So the notoriety I'm kind of shocked by. I have those that have even come to Indianapolis to do races because of me, and I've never met them. They follow me on Instagram.
That's funny. Good for
But
you.
with the shoes, every year I get refitted professionally because our bodies change and so does technology. And what might work for me may not work for you because God made us all different. And some people will look at me and but I've also learned that Brooks for me, and their technology changes and I may not always be a ghost girl. It may be whatever. But it's just what has worked for me and not everybody, because it cracks me up on social media. "I'm looking for new shoes. What's your suggestion?" Go get fitted.
Yeah.
Go get fitted and go somewhere that truly knows what they're doing.
Right. I agree. Do you find that your feet have gotten bigger?
Um, to some extent, yes, just because unfortunately that's what life has done to us.
Right.
But because I've also had 9-foot surgeries, and my first bunion came off when I was a freshman in college.
Wow.
So I've joked by the time I get to be really old, I should have really young feet while all of my friends are dealing with bunions because all of mine were taken off when I was a kid.
Wow. Okay. And was that from the ballet?
Not quite sure. It could have been on some of it. I think part of it genetics. That my grandma, I don't, had really bad bunions, corns, hammer toes. She actually had a handful of her toes completely removed.
Oh my goodness.
So mine has been, I've got 2 more bunions to go. I'd like to buy some time. I don't have time to mess with it at this point.
Yeah. Have you tried spacers? I'm sure you have, right?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And I've got some wires and things that help hold, especially my left foot together.
Wow. Crazy.
I tease if I'd keep my foot out of my mouth, I might not have near the problems I do, but that's why the importance of having good shoes matters. And I love a good stiletto. So that may more, I've noticed my toe boxes have gotten bigger on my stilettos just to, you go from Brooks to stilettos. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. That could be part of the bunion problem too. I don't
It
wear
could
heels
possibly
anymore.
be. Yes.
So, you're in Indy. Do you walk outside all year round?
I have a girlfriend that let me borrow her treadmill back 3 years ago, and it stays at my house because she never uses it at her house. So she comes to my house, hangs out with my dog. She works full time from home.
Oh, okay.
So I will get on the treadmill if needed, but I will tap out when it gets about 20 below zero, but I will walk all weather.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
like
the
this,
same way. 20 below is you just can't, no matter, I don't care. They say, oh, if you have the right clothes. Trust me, I have a lot of clothes and I
yes.
can't keep my feet and hands warm, no matter what, even with those electronic hand warmers.
Yes, and I got in a weird space a few years ago. I was going to go walk 10 miles. I went out, tapped out at 6, and it was probably closer to 30 below that particular day with the winds were crazy. And there was actually a local police officer that stopped to make sure I was okay. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm just out walking. And he's like, why? Because I can't.
Yeah.
And then I did a really dumb thing, tapped out at 6. And then I thought, I'm going to go to hot yoga. And I'm not that one that'll sit down. I had to sit down for most of that class. I had body parts turning colors from being outside. Yeah. And I thought, I have to be, I'm smarter than this.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. We had a day that a couple years ago, the wind chill was probably 30 below, something stupid. And I went out to try it because,
Mhm.
same thing. I'll run in anything. I don't care.
Yep.
I got a mile and everything was still so cold that I turned around and I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm just going to pull the plug on this one because I could not keep my fingers warm. And I had, the gloves, a good, windproof gloves
Yep.
and things over my shoes. And I'm like, yeah, couldn't keep it warm. It's not worth
Yeah,
it.
and well, and that was like today. We've had so much rain here in Indiana over the past few days. So I did 6 miles, went to mass, then went and did an Inferno Pilates class, and then we've had a miler series getting ready for the mini marathon, and our 10 mile yesterday went virtual because of these bad storms that we have, and my feet got wet, and that's when I can take it all, but when my feet get wet, that's when I start getting whiny.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I don't know why. It's just one of those weird things of mine. So the last picture I took at the park, I had actually by that point taken my shoes off, and I was standing when my girlfriend took this picture, and I'm barefooted. I would have rather have been barefooted than wear the cold shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. That none of that bothers me as long as I'm warm enough,
Yeah.
and usually even if it's raining, if you're running or, or working hard, you still stay warm, right? And
Oh yes.
keep your core and your fingers warm. Because once my core gets warm, usually my hands will get warm. And so I'm fine even in the rain, it doesn't bother me. But yeah, I hate to be cold. That's just, so I wear a lot of layers for a better part of the year. And all my friends are running in shorts and tank tops,
Yes.
and I'm in a jacket still.
Well, and I also think I've gotten into a lot of the trail races, and that
Oh,
changes things as well
yeah.
of what to wear. And I did a race, it's Gnawbone, and it's a big thing here in Indiana. It's done down in southern Indiana, and they have claim to fame about how rough it is, and it
Hmm.
was equivalent to like 256 flights of stairs type race.
Nice.
And somehow I got third in my age bracket as a walker, which I thought, when I thought, oh God, I did something wrong. They're like, don't wait, we got something for you. And I thought, oh, I've done something wrong.
Yeah.
And never in my wildest dreams thought I would have placed in that race.
Wow. Oh, well, and it makes sense if you think about it because you're walking the whole way, so you're not getting as exhausted as those who are charging up the hills and
Oh,
they're just.
well, I played in the woods enough as a kid. I would crawl up
Mm,
because some of these got so slippery because it
hmm.
was so muddy. We had had a bunch of rain. And I looked at my girlfriend and she goes, but you're doing it wrong. I said, no, nobody said we have to do it right there. Everybody's used that. Come over here.
Hmm.
And before she realized, I had crawled up on my hands and knees.
Yeah, good for
And she
you.
goes, bye. I said, love you. See you at the finish line. And off I was gone.
Good for you.
But I had actually duct taped my shoes because you get into a lot of that mud, the
Mm.
suction will pull your shoes off.
Oh, wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that
So,
was
yeah,
smart.
I just wore an old pair of Brooks that day and duct taped, and off I was gone. Because a lot of people, you would see that their shoes coming off, and there was even a handful of people that had done the race barefooted, which
Oh,
is okay.
I
That's a
can't even
little on the
imagine
crazy
that.
side. I couldn't either.
Yeah. I mean, 'cause you don't know what you're stepping on in those muddy
No.
bogs and ooh.
Yeah, and some of it even it took you down river beds, and
Yeah, there could be
so I
glass
would
or
just
anything. Yeah.
it could have been anything. So,
Wow.
but you learn a lot,
Yeah. So your
especially
favorite,
because oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say, so your favorite distance though is a half?
No,
No?
good question. I mean, I've done a handful of full marathons. 2021, I did my first ultra, so I walked 100 miles in 26 hours and 53 minutes. I
Nice.
actually want to do that one again just so I can do it better.
Which one did you do?
It was the Indy Piston. It was
Oh yeah.
done right here in downtown Indy. I don't know if I ever want to go to the White River State Park again after after that, but I don't know. You learn a lot about yourself, especially in a race like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool though. That you did a 100 miler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was the only woman that finished and the only walker.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
So
and You have to be careful with some of those races because some won't allow walking. But
I've never heard of such a
I
thing.
hadn't either. But after some guy called me out on social media, and about 400 posts later of my friends coming, I didn't have to say a word because he didn't feel that I had bragging rights that I completed an ultra marathon. I did. I completed it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And I still had
ridiculous.
4 hours to go. So it wasn't like I had, 45 seconds to cross the
Right.
finish line.
But even then, you still completed it in
I
the
still
time allowed,
absolutely.
you know?
So I think for me, then that's when I have owned walk, run, crawl, just show up. Because to walk it, to crawl it, or run it, it's the same 100 miles, same 3.1, whatever
Yep.
distance. It's the showing up. And for me, I was an elite athlete at one point in life, and now body parts. And I'm a repeat offender at Ortho Indy. And it's the middle to the back of the pack that tells the story.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that the journey and the story that I own and I share, and I try to rise others up to get up and move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that a road or a trail race, that 100 miler?
It was all on a trail, but it's not. I mean, you did get into some gravel, but most of it was concrete.
Oh, okay. So
So
like
it
a
was a
bike
good
path
one to
type.
put your toe in to
Yeah.
try it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
My
it was
100,
still a lot.
yeah, 100 miles is 100 miles.
It,
So
it absolutely is.
yeah, my 100 miler was a road race, right? So it was all pavement the
Yeah.
whole way. And I had a coach who used to be local here tell me, she was real big on, well, what was the elevation? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't
I don't
measure the
know.
road. I just went,
Yep.
right? And she said, well, it wasn't on a trail, so it doesn't really count. Excuse me,
It
100
does
miles
count.
is 100
It,
miles.
it
I don't.
absolutely is.
So yeah,
It,
good for you for sticking
yeah.
up for that. Whether you walked
Well,
it,
and
like you
and I
said, ran
have,
it.
because it's just it's amazing how people pass judgment.
Mm-hmm.
90% is getting your butt up out of bed and
Mm-hmm.
showing up.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is gravy at that
Yeah.
point.
That's why I really appreciate Sherry always posting, stop apologizing that
Mhm.
you walk. You run, you walk, we're getting it done. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, especially I think for me, I've started owning, I'm diabetic now. So that changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And am I eating, did I fuel up right, did I fuel too much? And it's really made me more present in what I do.
Yeah.
And it's about encouraging people, because with obesity and all the illnesses that are out there, the last couple of years, you pick a body part and I have a specialist that backs it up, and it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds, you said you're a repeat offender at the ortho. I was like, wow.
Well, 2018, I had two cervical spine surgeries, 5 months apart. And almost a year to the day of getting released from Ortho Indy on July 1st of 2019, I did my first sprint triathlon. And
Wow.
on that July 1 of 2019, when I got released, I went out and try not to cry. I sat out for 2 hours and cried in my car because I could barely walk 2,000 steps a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I'm not this girl. I'm not the big whiner. And I'm going to have to find a way to get up and own this. Not only for me, I have two cadaver bones that help hold this all together. So I not only walk for me, I don't know who they are, but they're my angels that watch over me, and I walk on their behalf every single day.
Wow.
And I'm big on the donate for life. I have I have recycled body part T-shirt that I will wear sometimes. My mom hates, but I'm grateful for those two individuals. So when I talk about the give back and to encourage people, that really defined me. And so that's where this craziness over the last 5 years with the mileage and doing things that take me out of my comfort zone has come from.
So were the C cervical spine surgery and the
Mhm.
hearth catheter, were those things from injuries, accidents? What, they just
It
things
just,
just
I
wore
like
out?
to tell over the neck is that I have so much brain power. My neck couldn't support all this power that's right here.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah. Um, I honestly think a lot of it came from poor ergonomics. When
Mm,
you work in an office for years, we weren't allowed to have headsets. You had to use a phone and a lot of this for
yes.
years. And I can't say that's it, but it was C3 and C6.
Mm,
So I have 7 screws, 2 plates, and 2 cadaver bones that hold all of this together. And when people, if the scars have faded, if you get up close enough, I like to tell I got cut in a bar fight.
I love that.
Yeah, it sounds more exotic.
Yes, absolutely. And you should see
Yeah,
the other guy.
exactly. Destroyed them mentally. It didn't take as long. And then with my heart issues, a lot of that's genetic.
Mm,
My maternal grandmother died when I was 6, she was 55. So my age, I'm now 56.
mm,
I spent the night with her and she passed away in her sleep and I found her the next morning. So it's been really hard over this last year because if she had the technology that we have today, where would she be?
right.
And last year I failed a stress test and I was within 43 seconds of maxing it out. And it's been a rough haul. I even travel now with a blood pressure cuff,
Wow.
and they found a congenital heart defect. I have crazy low blood pressure. Have passed out a handful of times, so I'm just really careful about when I'm out, and even with the trails or the paths that I take to go walk. And I have a tracker. I use Strava. And then once I start it, my friends will check in, especially if they've not heard from me or watched that I made it back home.
Yeah. Well, that's smart that you let people know
Yes.
where you're at and what you're doing. Yeah.
So I know the second heart cath, I actually went out and walked 10 miles that morning before I drove down to Cincinnati to have a heart cath.
Mm,
I just, again, am not going to let it define me. And
right.
I have the green light to do all of this because I've done it forever. It's not like, oh, I'm going to have 2 heart caths and now go walk a full marathon. I've been doing this long enough that one of my cardiologists said he doesn't want the weekend warriors, the person that only has time to go walk or run on a Saturday and then ends up having a heart attack or a
Right.
stroke because they're not training every single day.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow.
So,
I love that you've conquered all that and you just
mhm.
don't let it hold you down because more people need to hear that, you know. I feel
Mhm.
like some people, oh, I got a hangnail. I can't run. I can't run. I get hangnails.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's listen to Lisa's story,
Yeah.
you know. So don't run, go walk fast, you know.
Yes. And it doesn't even have to be fast.
No, no, you're
It,
yeah, just move.
you don't have to do a race. You don't,
Nope.
you have, and again, if there's, I'm big on disclaimers. If you feel that, you've not ever worked out or it's been years, at least talk to your doctor first. Go have a
Mhm.
physical, make sure you're somewhat in a place, and maybe that's where you get a personal trainer or you start working with a dietitian or it could be a whole combination of things to help get you where you need. And with the walking adventures, this year is my 4th year as a mini marathon ambassador, the first time the 500 Festival has had a walker.
Oh,
So they've
wow.
had a couple in between because I did 3 years in a row and then a couple years off. And then this year got chosen for a mini ambassador. So it makes it awesome to be able to get out and talk about walking.
That's great. Yeah. You know, it's because, like, you know, you were saying you don't have to do it fast, get your doctor's approval. Just move.
Just
And it,
move.
yeah, you know, get up and, during a commercial, walk around your house. You ain't got to go out and conquer
No,
big things. You just need to move.
move. Well, and we found that out right at the beginning of COVID. And, people wonder why I'm the way I am. Well, when you're raised by one of the original pioneer women in life, my mother broke both of her ankles putting her Christmas tree up, had all kinds of offers to help. And she just decided, and she ended up climbing up a flight of stairs by herself, got cleaned up, put on compression socks, put on clean pajamas, and waited 3 hours to call me. And then people wonder why I'm the way I am. But I at that time, everybody was working from home. And so I was able to go home to help her, which I'm so happy that, and we survived. We didn't kill each other. But it was about keeping her in a place, all of my weights were here in Indianapolis. She's at 90 miles away at our family farm. She was literally using cans of green beans to stay, so she didn't lose muscle in fear if she had to have surgery. So if there's a way, do it. It doesn't you don't need all the fancy stuff. And we learned that the hard way because she still jokes about it. Because I started cooking and, how do you cook to build back bone? And so we just ate healthier, and she actually lost 18 pounds. So she likes to tease, who breaks both ankles and then loses 18 pounds? Well, it's just because she was eating healthier.
Yeah. Yeah, that don't happen.
It never happens. So, but it's just, and I've got a yoga instructor I had met many, many years ago, and our paths have crossed again. And of course, now we've teased our evil twins are much older now, but she teaches different and talks about what we need to be doing now for when we're in, for 20 years from now, about having strong ankles and strong feet and strong wrist, because those are all the places as an older person that you fall. Many break a wrist or they break an ankle. And I thought, okay, ingenious, but I don't know. In my heart, I'm still 23. My kids are older than I am now.
Right. And if you walk or exercise with younger people, so all my running mates are 40 or younger, right? There's a group of about 5 of us now. So yeah, I feel like I'm in my 40s and I'm not in my 40s or 50s anymore. So, but it's who you hang out with, the things you do, and how you look at life.
Oh, it absolutely is. And again, it's about owning the body you wake up to every single day, because it's going to be different.
Yeah, indeed. So what was it like, your fueling for this walking when you do the halves and stuff? Is that different than what a runner would do? Do you feel like you burn the same amount of calories and
Oh,
sweat
great
as
question.
much?
I feel it does. But it changes now about being diabetic.
Oh, yes.
And I wear a Dexcom. I did the Purdue half last fall, and last year that would have been at that point the best half that I was on track to do, and I was right at an 11-minute mile walking.
Nice.
And that was still horsing around doing little videos at the beginning of each. My favorite was mile 3, because it was 3 weeks and getting to love on my new granddaughter. She was 3 weeks old that day. So mile 3 was for my granddaughter, Indy. And so each mile was either a mantra or given back to somebody that might be going through something. And I hit mile 8. And I mean, I was so excited. I have the grooves there, and I started filling off. And Dexcom had a national outage, and I couldn't track. And I carry all kinds of electrolytes on me. I've really gotten into dried apricots, just because they've got more potassium than a banana. You can carry them on you.
They don't squish up if they're
and they don't squish up. Sometimes it's a texture thing, but honestly, they're not that bad. I think they're better for me. I'm not big into the gel packs, but if I have to do one, I'll do a gel. I do the electrolyte jelly beans. That's a go-to for me. What I try to do is, especially on the longer races, and this is just, again, what works for me. I kind of switch it out just because of the diabetic component. Thursday night is carb night. Friday is my protein day.
Okay.
And then I try to have a peanut butter sandwich right at midnight leading up to the race day. Mm-hmm. And then I've got kind of the snacky things to get ready, because I try to be a little higher with the blood sugar. So again, that's what works for me. But I could tell it at that Purdue half that when it hit hard, because you could tell with the videos, I started slurring my speech and I sounded like I was drunk, and it wasn't. It was my daggone blood sugar
crashing.
Yeah. And I had done everything. It was just, and that's where it gets frustrating, because every day with that is different. And I mean, all of our bodies are different, because what might work for you. And so that's been a lot. We've got an Indie Mini Facebook page, much like, we do with our, our group, and, those, and I tell people, if you need to play around with it now, you don't wait, especially if you're new to this, you don't dare wait. Mm-hmm. Don't go out and buy new sports bras. Don't go out, and you stay the course. And the same way with your food, especially as you get closer to race day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you need to keep a good record of, okay, this did not work, or this worked really well. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Or this tasted good, or, this gave me heartburn, or and I cannot stand it, the yellow Gatorade. And that's all I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big fan of Gatorade anyways, but I know that's what you get, So I take what I like with me, but then when it runs out, then I use.
Yeah, then you're stuck. You got to get.
Yeah. But yeah, I hate the yellow.
Yeah. Well, anytime I do a colonoscopy, that's why I use the yellow. That way I don't I don't want to do a flavor I like when you're getting ready to have a colonoscopy.
Yeah, that's you condition your brain to hate it regardless, and that's what it makes you think of.
I know that's awful, but it just, and I don't know. There's so many things that are out there, and that's something special. And I'm also an ambassador for Wheeler Mission Drumstick Dash, which is done at Thanksgiving here in Indiana.
Is that a 5K?
No, it's a 4-mile race that they have. It's the biggest fun. Wheeler Mission. It's just a locally owned or locally sourced men's and women's shelter.
Oh, okay.
That's here, and the dash is their biggest fundraiser that they have for the year.
Nice. And that's on Thanksgiving, you said?
It's done on Thanksgiving. So, and then I finish up with the race, and then I head back downtown, and I've got a group of friends of mine. This will be this year. I quit cooking at Thanksgiving, and we started serving lunch at the men's shelter
I love it.
After we get done with the dash. So it's been a fun way to give back.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's another get to talk about walking and the importance of, one, giving back to our community, but also I get to use my steps to make our community a little better.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that you're so involved. That's really nice. Now, have you started any walking groups in your area that's, to get people out?
I work for One America, an insurance company downtown. And they were the key sponsor for the mini marathon up until this year. And it's Indiana University Health, IU Health. We're still sponsoring some, but not that flagship. So through work, it's been awesome. We have some walking groups, and a lot of that has been speared by my craziness. And it's neat that I have coworkers that it's what I call a walkabout meeting. And we might get around to some work related, but our building is kind of an octagon, and you can walk on the first floor in a big circle. And we might walk 2 or 3 laps to talk a little bit of work, and then we go back to our desk.
Nice.
But it's I try to set those type, even if it's just me, between every meeting that I have every day.
That's great.
And then the days I work from home, I will, Mondays is plank day. So I'll do planks between, and I started this when we were all hunkered down with COVID. And then it got, crap, that's 5 days a week I'm doing all this extra stuff. And then I thought, I can't handstand day. I can't do in the office. It won't be very HR.
That's great.
So, but it's been a great way of getting folks up and moving. And my company has been awesome about supporting it.
Yeah, that's
And it has
fantastic.
morphed a little, but just I need to do better with some of like the walking groups and the running groups. I've gone a handful of times. A couple years ago was an ambassador for the store Fleet Feet,
Oh yeah.
and there weren't a lot of walkers. But again, it was about promoting the store, and and it did help get some folks up and going that are walkers. But it's that weird space, and it's that way even with some of like the Facebook groups, because most are runners, and I've been bitten back more than once because I walk, and don't you get it? It's called like running, whatever the rest of the name of the group is. Yep, I can read.
Yeah.
Used to be one, but I guarantee you I will bury you in mileage, and it shouldn't be that way.
That's okay though, because I know probably probably since 21, so probably the last 4 years, I've been doing a run walk.
Okay.
So my coach that I had for my Ironman and my 100 miler, when I got to the 100 miler, he said, okay, you're going to run 7 minutes and walk 3 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to walk? And he's like, you can't run a 100 miler the whole way. You're going to have to walk because you need to take in enough fuel, right?
Yes.
And I went, all right. Well, I loved it. And so at that point was, I think, starting to hear about Jeff Galloway. And I went,
Uh-huh.
well, maybe I'll try this on my marathons. And so since then, I've done the run walk for my marathons. And I still can, if I'm not injured, keep the times that I was doing when I was only running. And I recover so much better afterwards.
Oh,
I can
yes.
still walk the next day where a lot of people can't get up and down steps. So yeah, I'm a firm believer in the walk, and those people that say, oh, well, you walked part of your marathon. Yeah, but I still covered the distance and I probably outran you.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
I just, and I don't want to kill myself anymore. I
yeah,
want to have fun.
yeah.
And 2 years ago, I earned my angel wings. I was a chariot racer with Ansley's Angels for
Yeah, I
the
am
meeting.
too. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am forever changed because of my angel Peyton and about being present. And, we don't need to play around on our phones. We don't need to listen to music. The, we have the best orchestra in the world outside with all the birds and bugs and
Hmm.
whatever, with nature. And
Yeah.
so I have really gotten away from listening to music when I walk.
Hmm. That's great.
And I go. And, I still, do a lot with Ansley's Angels. And it just, I was forever changed in a good way.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. Run with them as well. I do the 5, not more than a 10K. But yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It,
Rewarding
it,
to
it
get those.
truly is. And I've gotten a handful of girlfriends that are also have jumped in and are part of doing, and they don't do a lot of races, but I don't care if it's one or it's 10, you're
Right.
still giving back, you're still helping.
Yeah.
And then our little aches and pains didn't really mean anything when you look at what some of these kiddos and parents are going through,
Yeah.
especially. And then I sat back and look at the parents. I was actually felt guilty
Mm.
because God blessed me with two normal healthy kids and what they go through to give their kid normacy.
Yeah.
And so the importance of walking or running because they can't. You give them wings for a day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
It truly is. Truly is. What other wonderful things would you like the audience to know about you that you do? You do everything.
I can't make jello and I can't sew.
Okay. I, I can sew, but I can't make jello.
Yeah. Yeah. Who needs jello anyway?
Who needs jello?
No, and I can take the sewing machine apart. I just can't put it back together. So,
Well, I
no.
can't sew with a sewing machine, so I can only
Okay,
sew
there
by
you go.
hand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I don't know. It's been crazy, but it's been a good crazy. And I can't imagine what my health metrics would be, coming off of having the 2 cervical spine surgeries, had my first physical done a couple months after the second one, and my triglycerides were 500. And that was, it's just really has been eye-opening for me, and about really owning, because I really hoped to not have to do a statin and some of the drugs that, and unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And, I'm old now. I have a pill box and it kills me.
Yeah. Got the rattler, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but
And it is what it is.
Yep.
I look that it's a well-fueled machine that's got some expensive drugs that set in a pill box.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like having a great craftsman tool chest with some really expensive tools that keep you going.
But
And
if you go down to the Daytona 500 and you look at those race cars, they've got the STP oil this and the
oh
lubricant
yes,
that. So that's what you have in your
oh yeah,
rattler.
and that's the weird mindset that I had to
Yeah.
finally go down a path. That was, I worked with an endocrinologist and with some thyroid stuff, and then when she had done some blood work and it came back, I knew when she walked in and said, "You need to take your shoes and socks off," what was coming. And I'm like, I'm not taking my shoes and socks off, because she takes a picture of my feet every time I come to see her. Love her, but we argued. And I knew I didn't even want her to say it.
Yeah.
It was the big D word, diabetes. And gotta love our family. But when you look to what's in with genetics, and so it just, I think it has helped with mind, body and soul, of just getting up and moving.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah. And I don't know, and I asked people, you'd asked earlier about the groups. Honestly, there's times I like just being by myself too.
Sure.
I mean, it's fun doing groups, and it's fun, probably more so with the tailgating kind of thing. A girlfriend's husband set up a table for the 4 of us that were either walking or running to do our virtual 10-mile race today. And he had cowbells, God love him. And somebody had to drive him, or his wife had to drive him home, because he was doing he had a Bloody Mary bar going. So
That's awesome.
he had to drive his drunk butt home. But, I told her he should at least get 50 extra brownie points for setting up snacks and being there out in the rain.
Absolutely.
So I thought it was funny. And I gave him 50 extra because I don't drink anymore. And he had a virgin Bloody Mary for me and had it marked so everybody would stay out of it. So I don't know. You got to have fun. And yes, it's work. But when you're having fun, honestly, you don't know you've worked or walked or ran. And you got bragging rights.
Yeah.
You truly do.
And think about where your health would be if you weren't moving. You would still have all these things, but you'd be so much worse off because you're not moving, and you are probably cutting all of that in half just by the activity, just by all those 30 million steps you're taking every year.
Well, and that was even triglycerides were 88 this last go around.
Yeah. Good.
Compared to 500. They were so high 5 years ago. Technically, they were probably higher than the 500, because you get to a point it can't.
Yeah.
And
I got nothing.
Yeah. But it's made me more aware of, what you put in your mouth and what you do. And I know this isn't for everybody, but it's also what works for me.
Yeah. And clearly it is working.
It is working.
Yeah.
And but I don't know, it gets frustrating when, something else pops up or this or that. And, but it's just, to have, and it's funny to set back, because when I was in Cincinnati, they're doing the heart cath, and I'm now part of a trial program with, it's a female cardiologist out of Cincinnati, and she's got where she's studying women's heart health. And so a question she asked, because I was completely awake for this heart cath, and she had asked my doctor, does she work out? And my nurse beside me, he said, she can't answer, but I'm going to. She's made us all feel like losers because she walked 10 miles before her heart cath today. So there's your answer.
That's awesome.
But for me, it's not about shaming. And, if I can get somebody up, and I had a girlfriend last summer and she's lost quite a bit of weight, and she falls into that. She's too busy looking here that, no, you don't. You don't, because you're killing yourself here. You got to build the endurance. Quit it. And I'm bad for it too. We all are. That's human nature. Yeah. And, I think she's lost close to 50 pounds now.
That's great.
And I doubled back and on a 5K and walked with her. And she was in tears that it sucks. This is hot. I'm sweaty. I'm dirty. Yep. So what?
Yeah.
It beats, laying up in bed half the day. Look what you're doing.
Yeah. And there are showers. Imagine that.
Oh, yeah. And, and I've tried I've even gone down a path about, go buy some cute, workout clothes. She loves to shop. So I've tried to find things that she will relate to, but quit beating up on yourself.
Yeah.
Love yourself first. And I think especially as women and moms, that's hard because we put everybody else before us. Mm-hmm. And now, I got tagged with a nickname of Mama Gangster, Mama G in the house. And I was listening to an Eminem song, Baking Pies, one day, and my daughter and her friends walked in the house, and I was listening to Eminem song, and I moonwalked across the floor and kind of threw my gangster sign, and that's when Mama Gangster or Mama G nickname. And now I am Gangster Granny or GG in the house after my granddaughter was born. So I don't want to be the traditional grandma.
Yeah, that's great.
So you got to have some fun.
Yes, absolutely.
And even last year with especially with the mini, I actually stopped and did some line dancing.
Nice.
Because we'll have little bands or little, dance groups or whatever. And I thought, who cares if it ended up being a 14-minute mile by the time it was said and done? Look what I've accomplished.
Yeah. And that was fun. It was more fun to do that. Yeah.
Well, and it was 2 weeks after having my first heart cath. So it meant more about being grateful and walking in grace and stopping and shaking it like no other at some of the little groups than it did having a 10-minute mile.
Yeah. Yeah. At one of my races, I think that in Washington State, we ran by this park. It was some like out and backs, and there was this thing the kids at the park, they would sit on and ride it down. I can't think of what they call those. It's like a my mind is blanking. Anyways, I asked him, I said, I'm in the middle of this race, but can I cut in front of you and ride that thing? And he was like, yeah. I said, will you video me? So I got my phone out, and it was during the race. And I'm like, I don't care.
I love it.
I was like, I don't care. I just want to ride that thing really bad. So yeah. You gotta do the fun stuff.
You've got to do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And because trust me, I have been that one that you'd haul it and you do it until there's nothing left. Mm-hmm. And sure, I do a lot of mileage, and it's a commitment every single day. And I don't know, as of yesterday, I'm 1,772 miles into this year.
Wow. That's fantastic. Good for
you. And that's even having COVID at the beginning of February. I was really sick. And I was still out walking. Wow. There might have been a couple times, there might have been a local police officer. I was sitting down and I'm like, I am not drunk or on drugs. I have COVID and I'm running 104 fever. I'm fine. I just need a moment. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm out power walking, not so efficiently.
Wow.
And he said,
I would say stay home on that day with the fever, but that's just me.
But that's part of, again, listen to your doctor. But there's parts of it too about getting up and moving when you have COVID to offset, because now I have the potential of getting other blood clots because I had the one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, and that may have been because I've had COVID now 3 times, and that could have been part of the COVID issue from the first go around. We don't know, but
Right.
nonetheless, it would just, and it was snippets of maybe 2 miles, but but again, I should do better. But it's also, even though I lay there 104, 105 fever and just think, oh my God, this is killing me. I'm going to have to lay in bed. And it's not in my wheelhouse.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, it's fantastic, all the things that you're doing and what you're doing in your community and for yourself and now for others to hear. So no
Yes.
excuses, right? No
Yeah, rub
excuses.
some dirt on it. Get up and move. Well, and I've got 2 Labradoodles that come a lot with me. And one, we're actually a certified therapy dog team. So we donated a couple of local hospitals. And my second, they're actually sisters, different litters, same mom and dad. So they're my redneck series of dogs. They're Louisbelle and Ellie Mae. So Ellie's got one more exam, and the hope is that we will be working at a local library where kids will read to her.
Oh, that's so great. You're just in it everywhere. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that really, honestly, there's no excuses. People, they can reach out in so many different ways to help others, give back, and plus do things at the same time for themselves.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, that was like with Wheeler Mission. I got an email letting me know I'd been chosen as Volunteer of the Year in 2023. I emailed them back and said, I think you sent this to the wrong person. And they emailed me back and said, this is why we love you. You're 1 in a million that would resend their congratulations email. I honestly did not think it was me. I honestly thought they had sent it to the wrong person.
That's really great.
And, I just, it's a wonderful organization. And the thought of being able to give back and especially to go in on a holiday and serve lunch to those that wouldn't have a meal otherwise will forever change you.
Yeah, that's so great.
And I get to use walking to get there.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Lisa. It's just been incredible listening to you. You have just a wonderful journey. And I hope that one person that listens to this will, start their journey, whatever it may be. If just change one person, if you change a dozen, great. But if you just change one person that's listening to this to get them up off the couch.
Just when you think you can't, this would have been the beginning of 2023 was hard for me. That I only walked 4,000 miles that year. I was diagnosed with melanoma. Again, and I have an 8-inch scar on the inside of my right. So as you're up and out walking, especially for us girls or folks that love to be outside, wear your sunscreen. Yeah. But just when you think, I don't know, when you get thrown one more curveball, there are people, that will listen and will talk to you and encourage you and find those, not the Debbie Downers. Because that particular year, it was time to really clean out closets about being with people who walk in grace and extend grace to others. And I mean, it's been a rough haul. It truly has been. But the walking and giving back is 2 of my love languages. So this was an honor. Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
All right. Now I'm going to go cry my eyes out.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
But it's all about sharing the love. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. Well, thanks for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please continue to follow, share, and rate the program. If you're needing that coach, reach out to me. There's a button in the show notes that you can contact me directly. Share it with a friend if you think their story needs to be on the podcast. I'd love to hear from them. So thanks again and have a great day.